Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dudes and dudettes. It is Dude Sessions, and it is not a sports session. Everybody wanted me to get out of the sports, and I was like, I got the perfect guy, and I got the perfect topic. I got the perfect podcast in my mind, and you all know I love me some bourbon. I've been having to know a little dabble in the homemade series, which we can't discuss a whole lot, but we have a good bourbon selection, and I have a great friend that we kind of broke into the TikTok game together, and he's a good friend of mine, and I don't trust anybody else but him to really do a nice educational low flyover story of bourbon and whiskey and rye and all the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, Ken Bourbon Birmingham. What's up, dude?
Well, that's me. That's me. All right.
Yeah, that is you. You can clap for yourself. Hell, I clap. Hey, if there's anybody that can clap for themselves, it's you.
That's right, man. I appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So how you been, man? You been doing good?
We're doing real good. Hell, anytime's a good day. I get to drink bourbon with my buddy Ken.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah.
What do you got? What are you sipping on right now?
Nothing, because I have so much in front of me right here that people at home, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Anchor, you can catch out the video version of this on the YouTube channel, and everyone's listening to this on YouTube, and you're like, I don't have time to sit there and watch these guys. Well, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify. So now we got that out of the way now too. Plug anything you want to plug?
Just plug myself, Ken Bourbon Birmingham. All you gotta do is Google it, and there you go.
Just Google it. He's on Google.
I'm on Google. SquirrelyBourbonSociety.com. That's another thing. SquirrelyBourbonSociety.com. I'll plug that. It's my website.
All right. Hey, there we go. Everybody, give them a check. Check them out. Check. All right. Now we're going to go in a complete opposite direction of that and go right into bourbon.
All right.
We're going to go from check it out to let's drink.
All right.
So, all right, man, bourbon is in your blood. When did you fall in love with bourbon? When did you really start taking it serious, and why?
So that's a good thing. So, I've always been into whiskeys and scotches and all sorts of stuff. It's like craft beers, and I always loved it. Always, had the bourbon in there at all times. It wasn't until probably about almost 2 years ago where I was kind of sitting around and I was like, I have all this stuff and I love this. I love bourbon. I love the story of bourbon. I love everything about bourbon. So some could say it was like the bourbon boom that caused it, maybe, but I was still getting bourbon before, drinking bourbon and knowing what it was, before all this. It's just I wanted to start collecting it and, drinking it all the time. So and I just canceled out every other whiskey that I drank. I was like, well, I'm not drinking any other whiskey besides just bourbon. And it just made me fall in love. So my palate was already there because I've been drinking it for I love brown liquor. That's it. Except for rye. Don't do rye.
Ooh. No, and that's all right though. In all seriousness, that's what makes bourbon is there's so many different ones you can like, and it's not for everybody. And you probably have some that I would think would be absolutely disgusting. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's like the thing that is with what makes bourbon, it makes it taste unique. And you can have so many different bourbons. The flavor profile is all over the place. So where, an Irish whiskey or Scotch, they're always going to kind of have that same generic type taste, where a bourbon can go in so many different directions. That's one thing that really drew me to it.
All right. Well, we're going to start going into the history of bourbon, but first, I think we need something to drink before I can't talk on a dry mouth.
Get it up.
All your talk about bourbon and your passion for it, I'm like, boy, oh boy, I was thirsty before. Now I'm quenched of thirst. I need quenched. So, all right. So I have a whole slew of stuff here in front of me. But let's start out with something a little bit more basic here. Something with like a little bit of wheat, perhaps.
Awesome, Weller.
So yeah, you got the Weller. I know you got some Weller. I said I wasn't going to, but man, I'm saving it for a special occasion.
Save
so I
it,
think
man. Save it. It's hard to find.
This is the special occasion.
Oh, wow. All right.
I can split this up into two here. So
Wow.
you gonna do a little sipple?
Of my Weller?
Oh, yours isn't popped yet. Never mind.
I can pop it.
No, you don't have to pop it.
I don't mind popping it. It's gonna get popped.
All right, then pop it. Oh, you heard the fresh crack of Weller on the Dude Network. There we go. Best podcast ever already.
So the best part is that they come in screw caps like they always did. So like this bottle of Weller 12 used to be like a $30 bottle, even like 2.5 years ago. It was a $30 bottle.
Dude, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he scored the Weller 12. For anybody bourbon heads out here, that was a fine. Did your jaw drop when you saw the Weller 12?
Oh no, that was my goal to get it. I knew it was going to be there, so I was on a mission from God to get it. My jaw dropped when I got the single barrel of E.H. Taylor.
Woo!
That's when my jaw dropped.
Is that your best score?
Probably in the wild. Then my 2 Elijah Craigs. And I've gotten some pretty good. I get pretty lucky. Let's knock on wood because I don't want to break that. So.
Yeah, in Ohio, it's like striking gold because they get no allocation.
Yeah.
So all right here, Weller, this is a wheat. So I've always been understanding of wheat's going to be a little bit of a smoother, less bite. Like rye's going to have the most spice, most bite. Your corn's going to have like a medium bite. When a good wheat is going to be more of a smooth. Is that correct?
Yes. So you will a lot of the times. With the wheat, it is known. It's like, your Larcenies. They're going to be a smoother bourbon. It's going to be real smooth. It's going to go down easy. You're not going to get that bite. However,
I didn't know Larceny was a wheat, actually.
Yes, Larceny is a wheated bourbon.
That explains why it's such a delicious, cheaper bottle of bourbon.
It's actually one of the And then Redemption. Redemption has a wheat bourbon, which I don't have. I have it, but
man, I forgot how good Weller was. It's got a little Swedish.
Yeah.
Sweet note to it. What is that? Is that a gas?
It was just
hang on. Is that a gas pump full of Four Roses in your background?
Yes, that is correct.
Is that an actual functional gas pump?
Yeah,
does bourbon come out of it?
Yeah.
So this is what life of Ken's like? Just sit there and just pump yourself a little. Oh! Oh man, he's taking shots to the face via gas pump. What a legend.
Gas pump bourbon.
Gas pump bourbon. Hey, there ain't nothing gas pump bourbon about some Four Roses. So the Weller here, we both just had the special reserve, which is a pretty decent level. Was it about mid-level Weller? Is that what you call it?
Well, out of the Weller lineup, it's definitely the lowest level. But it is out of the Weller lineup. So there's pretty much the reserve, special reserve. That's going to be the lowest. Then you're going to have the Antique 107 and then the Weller 12, Weller CYPB, which I actually have a handshake of that. This is really good.
Ooh.
So
here I thought I was living the Gucci life, and here I'm just living Ford Pinto Weller life.
Yeah, interesting thing about the Weller mash bill out of this and this. So when the Pappy boom started, everybody was looking for Pappy, right? So that was the original bourbon boom before even now. So now it's crazy. Bourbon's crazy now. So 2 years ago, everybody was looking for Pappy. That was the bourbon boom 2 years ago. So everybody was directed towards Weller 12. Oh, get that Weller 12 over there. It's $35. That's the same mash bill. The only difference between this and the Pappy, these barrels are picked from Buffalo Trace distillers. Pappy is picked by the Van Winkle family. Same mash bill, everything. So the Van Winkles get first chew, like they get to choose the barrels first, pretty much.
Because they're all under the Buffalo Trace family, right?
Yes, and they're aged in the same warehouse and everything. Yep. So Weller 12 and the Pappy is going to be the same mash bill, same weeded mash bill.
Isn't that crazy? Like why these bourbons are like so much more sought after? They can look and smell a keg or a cask and be like, "Yep, that's the one," or like, "Nope, scorched it 2 seconds too long. Don't want it."
It's insane. These guys' palates are so sophisticated, and it's amazing how they can pick it out. And the blending process is unreal. I just don't know how they do it.
Okay. So the Weller, so as we're saying here, Weller is a wheat. It's smooth. It's the 12 is the same mash bill as the Pappy Van Winkle. So if you don't know, you know. Now I know. I didn't know that. That's why I brought your brain on here, man. Yes. So all right. So I'm actually going to grab another drink because I pounded through that one. But while I'm doing this Weller, dude, terrible first one to start with. So let me go with a little Elijah Craig straight rye. I know you're not a rye guy here, so I will take this opportunity to make me a little bit of a drinky poo of the rye.
Yes.
So I want to go with something that's a little more slower to sip on here.
So I suggest everybody get into rye. So therefore you leave more of the bourbon to me. Rye has such a rich history, just like bourbon. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah, don't do that, man, because you're going to go ahead and make the rye get bought up like all the dang bourbon. So don't do that to me. All right. So as I got my rye here, so everybody at home, rye is very spicy. It's got a real strong bite to it, but it's got that spices to it because a rye grain, when you eat your rye bread, it's got more flavor to it than when you take a bite of wheat bread. So that carries over to the bourbon. So while I'm sipping on my rye, Ken, tell us about bourbon, like the backstory of how it got to the boom, like the early years, like the prohibition, like I'm not asking for a half-hour documentary here.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much. This is like part one of like an infinite series we could do on the history of bourbon, but like, where's the okay, here's a good, instead of that, scrap that. That question's for a different time.
Yeah, like we can go anywhere.
Tell everyone the difference between bourbon and whiskey. A lot of people don't know because they're too embarrassed to ask, so they don't want to feel stupid. So we're going to go ahead and fill them on what the difference between bourbon and whiskey is, and also Scotch. Like, what's the difference between Irish whiskey, bourbon, Scotch? Like, what makes them differentiate? What ingredients make them different? What's the process that makes them different? So that way, everybody at home doesn't have to take the walk of shame to ask that question to their buddies.
I get you. So let's talk about my favorite first. Is going to be the bourbon. So essentially, like, what's the difference between bourbon and whiskey? So it's obviously going to be the corn. It has to be 51% mash bill corn. Just like when you go for your rye, it's got to be 51% rye. So your dominant grain has to be corn when it comes to bourbon. So you get that out of the way. That's fine. All right. What are your other grains? The other grains can be whatever you want. There's so many different levels that you can go so many places. And corn is naturally going to be a sweet, you know, just like I like to say you can't really have a bourbon without rye in it too. So you can have bourbon without rye, but it doesn't taste the same. Just like mellow corn, that's got rye in it, right? It's mellow corn and it literally has rye in it. So
it's going to overpower the corn. Yeah.
Yes. So you can have too much of a good thing, I guess. So, okay. So you have to be 51%. It's gotta be aged in new charred oak barrels. But what is aging, right? That's why there's a lot of loopholes with it. It can literally be in there for a second and that's aging. So that's, you know, but we're getting a little too technical. Like that's going, we'll go basics. It's got to come out. I can go all day.
No, I love it, man. You're just giving me more ideas for future shows, man. So let's go.
Yeah. So, it could be 51%. Okay. New oak charred barrels. It's got to come out of the still at no, it's got to come out of the still at no, well, okay, we'll get into that later. It can never be lower than 80%. Okay. It can't be lower than 80%. Okay. That's bottled at no lower than 80%. So it cannot be going into the barrel at no higher than 120 proof. So, but it can go, you can have a bourbon be 160 proof. There's infinite amount of proof.
Don't recommend it.
Aged,
you better let that thing soak an extra 10 years to get the bitterness out of that 160.
Yes. No, you don't want that.
No. Nobody got time for that.
Those are pretty much That's pretty much your ABCs of bourbon. It's more sophisticated, and it has it has to be aged in America. It cannot be aged anywhere else. You could do the same exact mash bill, literally 2 seconds across the border into Canada, and it will not be called bourbon. Therefore, you have, Crown Royale.
Yeah, a bourbon blend.
Yes, a bourbon blend. So that's the main thing. It's an American. It's American. It's pretty much set up for taxes, if anything. That's why America made bourbon, to tax it. It's the easiest taxable substance.
Cheers to Uncle Sam, because he didn't get enough this year.
Exactly. So essentially, that's the same thing when it goes to Irish whiskey, Scottish whiskey. Their main thing is they have to be made in those countries. They have and they have more of a what's the word called? You got me drinking early before all this.
I would never, sir. Or what are you accusing of me? And by the way, that Elijah Craig rye is 10 times terrible after the Weller. That was not a fair transition to my palate at all.
Well, that's another thing. When you go from rye to wheat, like you just did, so that rye is taking out it's sucking out all that taste from your mouth. It's making your mouth so dry. You would have been better off just taking a sip of water between those two.
Yeah, probably.
Give your palate a little.
I wanted to slow down after that Weller, so mission accomplished.
Yes, you just did it.
So
just did it.
All right. So what's the difference? And actually, this is a question that I don't. What makes Irish whiskey different than American whiskey? What's the difference? Is it the potatoes or is it the corn or what is it?
I'm not really sure what makes a difference. I know Irish whiskey has what's the word? I cannot think of the word. They have a certain
malt
in there, but it's not malt. It's, you know what? I cannot think of the word right now. So we're going to just move on from that because I am Ken Bourbon Birmingham, not Ken Irish whiskey.
Yeah. See, yeah. Now I'm kind of curious.
You can Google. That's a good Google question for you. I can answer your bourbon questions though.
Irish whiskey is made with a blend of malted and unmalted barley in the pot still phase.
Oh, there you go.
Whereas Scotch uses only malted barley grain that has been soaked so it begins to sprout. Okay, I know that.
Makes sense. Yes,
that one time in Missouri when I lived there, when it was completely illegal to make moonshine, because I wouldn't know how to do that here in Ohio, because that would be bad.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, actually, like the old school shiners, they say didn't want to have a hangover. They'd sprout their own corn and make their own active yeast.
Yeah.
When you sprout it, you get it sprouted, then you dry it, and then you grind it up, and it makes a natural yeast, and it's not fake. So with that being said, if you want less of a hangover, folks, go with the Scotch. It's already malted. I
recommend going with bourbon.
Yes, yeah, well, bourbon too. But if you had to pick one of the two while you're over the big pond and you can't get American, yeah. So anyway, back to American, the best brown liquor in the world. So we. Oh, what do you got there? Redemption
wheat.
Ooh,
that's what I was talking about.
Okay. I had one last week. We found it up in Michigan. It's out of Minnesota, but it's bottled in Indiana. It's called Mercantile.
Oh, yes. Very good stuff.
Dude, it was $25. I can't find it down here in Ohio. I let my wife pick it out because God bless her. She fell in love with bourbon this year. Buffalo Trace is her favorite, of course.
Women love Buffalo Trace. Women also have great palates. So
she called me when she's in there. She's like, "Hey, I hope you don't mind. I had a sore throat and I really wanted some of this bourbon. So I grabbed the one down there and it was really good." And she's like, so I'm sorry, I've been drinking. And I'm like, oh, which one was it? I have like 50 bottles. She's like, like this Buffalo one. I'm like, oh yeah. And she's like slamming it. And I'm like, oh, people could see that. People are paying $50 for resale for that thing. And you're sitting like whoosh, power down like it's Kurloff vodka at the vodka at the bar. So, okay. Well, I got the right here. So what's and Ken, okay, so you also have Ken Bourbon Birmingham here. What's Ken Bourbon Birmingham's favorite of all time?
My bourbon, Ken
Yeah.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
So Ken Birmingham's favorite bourbon of all time. So
There we go. He's
let me
back.
tell you a little something about Ken Birmingham.
Oh, he's alive and well.
Birmingham, he loves a burn. So you give him a little something with a burn. Like everybody wants to go around having all these fancy little bourbons, having all these nice little whiskeys and like all this and all that. And you want a little something with a burn. And you're like, oh, I got the Weller. Oh, I like that weeded stuff. Oh, I'm going to pay high class, high dollar for this and that. No. You know what? Nobody can afford all that stuff. Everybody wants some Jim Beam or something like that. You know what I get? Get some fighting cock. You know what I mean? Go get some fighting cock, 103 proof. You know, get some old tub, get some of that kind of stuff. You know, just do a little, and don't go fancy little glasses. Everybody's getting those fancy glasses. I'm drinking bourbon out of them fancy glasses. Ain't no need for glasses. You got the biggest glass in your hand that holds liquor already. It's called a bottle. What do you need a glass for, people? There ain't no such thing as glasses around here where the Birmingham lives.
Oh, it came up my nose.
Well, it ain't supposed to come out your nose. It's supposed to go down your throat. Man, I tell you what, you gonna go revisit that cock every once in a while, that fighting cock.
Hey, everybody needs a little more cock in their life, right?
Everybody, get some of that fighting cock in your life. That Birmingham, get out there and get some old tub, people. You're gonna go spend 60, 70, 80, $90 on some bourbon. Get yourself some old tub, people. You want to drink some bourbon? This is what the Birmingham started out with. I was drinking old tub before half y'all were even out of your diapers yet listening to this podcast.
Hey, the older the cock, the sweeter the juice, too.
That's
right?
That's what honey bourbon says.
And we just got canceled. Oh, hey, we love a little bourbon. We love Ken Bourbon. We love Ken Bourbon.
You got to get the Birmingham out every once in a while.
Yeah, you got to let him eat. You got to let the big dog eat. Oh man, that was good stuff. That was fighting cock too, of all of them. That was it. Just I've never had it, and by the looks of that bottle, I think I know why. It looks a little scary.
Actually, it's got a really good flavor to it. Honestly,
I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't think that's one that's available. Where's it out of?
Oh, the fighting cock, dude.
Yeah, where's it out of?
This guy. Where do you think it's out of?
No, South Kakalaki.
Can you read it? No.
No. Well, the Gamecocks. I mean, South Carolina Gamecocks. That's why I was thinking that.
It's in Kentucky.
Oh.
They're so fighting cock distill. Fighting cock. Don't drink the Rough Rider. That stuff's nasty.
Yeah, it just sounds. At least they called their shot when they bottled it, like Rough Rider.
God, it's horrible. Jesse James is also another terrible bourbon.
Well, since we're doing show and tell, my favorite's the Eagle Rare. It's empty, but it's such a beautiful piece to have that I can't even throw the bottles away. I will probably always keep every bottle of Eagle Rare I ever drink.
I have
the Eagle Rare 10, by the way. Eagle Rare 10.
Oh yeah.
I've never had the 17. I couldn't tell you if it's good or not.
Eagle Rare is deliciously good. It's probably it's probably one of my favorites, honestly. It's
the favorite.
Really good.
It's got that sweet finish to it that's just second to none.
It has such like that burn up front, and then it just goes down so smooth. And I'm like, this is everything I want in a whiskey. This is perfect.
And now that now that I was strictly working on that rye, it got really good there toward the end.
Yes. Rye, you got to let it breathe a little bit. Got to let it out.
Yep.
Got to let the rye out.
All right. So I got one here I'm getting ready to bring up. And it don't really need much introduction, but I want you to tell people why.
Okay.
And it's the Blanton'S.
Yes.
Blanton'S has made an appearance on the show.
Yes.
From the registered bottle is number 204, 51120. And it's from barrel number 653 and Rick number 5, which means number 5 up, right?
Yes. Yep.
Which is good.
Yep.
Because 6 is the max, right?
Yes. Yes.
So this means it's the second from highest. Now, I'm going to say the reason 5 and 6 is desirable because it gets more of the elements up top. It gets more of the weather. The more weather extreme in Kentucky, the cold to the heat, the more that you get exposed to, the more flavor it's going to extract from that barrel. Is that correct?
Just like you said, when you age your own whiskey with the whiskey stick, you know, the extreme heat, the hot and cold, and especially that's why everybody loves, you know, Kentucky for their bourbon, their drastic weather change. You know what I mean? You go from hot to cold and just back. So obviously you're getting this through the warehouse and, you know, when they're aging. So like you said, the higher they are, the less heat they have coming off of everywhere because they have that air exposure up there. You're not in the middle, so you're more heated down here, say even in the wintertime than you would be, you know, up here. So you're getting more of that in and out of the barrel, of the whiskey going in and out of the barrel. So yes, there's so many things that it's so scientific. It's so crazy what goes into bourbon, and it's amazing. And you know, you can say that with all whiskey, really. You know what I mean? But I think what really stands like the test of time and what really makes us stand out is that, like, when you age Scotch or all these other, they're using old bourbon barrels, so they're still getting that bourbon flavor into their whiskey, into their, you know what I mean? When you're aging all these things, they're using bourbon barrels, used barrels that were aged bourbon, that aged bourbon in them. So, I mean, if you look at just the barrels that we use alone in America, it's crazy. And then all those shipping out, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry going in when it comes to barrel.
With a B, folks. He didn't say million. He said multi-billion.
It's with the barrels, importing, exporting, and selling the barrels to other companies. Like, it's crazy. It's insane. These barrel companies.
Well, anybody themselves can do this. You can go online right now, folks. Go buy a 5-gallon barrel. Go to a store. They sell clear moonshine there. Go get you some of the clear corn whiskey. Fill that thing up with 5 gallons. You know, follow the instructions. Put water in it. Soak it up. You know, all that stuff. Read the instructions, folks. But then just literally pour 5 gallons of moonshine in there. Put a cap in it. Let it go for 10 years. And guess what, folks? In 10 years, you made your first own batch of bourbon.
Yeah, but you got to make sure you follow the mash bill and the distinct ways on when you put it in too.
Well, I mean, like, just go to the store and buy like the Climax moonshine if you wanted to. It'd be the most expensive barrel of bourbon you've ever made, but you can go to the store, folks, anywhere and buy a bottle of clear.
Yes.
Now it's not authentic, but it's still clear.
You can make your own mash bill,
and you can make and you can buy some. You can re-age anything. You can take Blanton'S and put it in a 5-gallon barrel and double filter it, double age it.
Yes.
It's totally okay. I mean, I'll punch you in the mouth, but yeah, I mean, it's totally okay.
So Blanton'S.
Yeah, what makes Blanton'S the one? I guess that was where I was going at with that.
So Blanton'S Blanton'S has kind of been like Buffalo Trace's.
Oh, he sucked the cork on that. Oh,
it's been Buffalo Trace's, you know, golden bourbon, as they should say, like, show me what you got. I have this cool bottle with a metal horse on it, and you know, it's good. They say that they were the very first single barrel. That could be, you know, true or false, but there's no history on it. It's all just a bunch of stories. So them being the first single barrel, there's a big story behind it. It's more or less the bourbon boom's got it, because these Blanton'S was fairly easy to get. I mean, even three years ago. So it wasn't hard to go and get Blanton'S. Now everybody wants Blanton'S. Does Blanton'S taste good? Yes, but it varies from barrel to barrel. Literally.
I'll tell you. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me make sure hang on. Yeah, it's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what. I've had a bottle of Blanton'S and I hated it.
Oh, really?
Matter of fact, the first time I ever tried Blanton'S, I hated it. I didn't even like it. I stayed away from it. So when it started becoming big, I was like, dude, I don't even understand. I don't even get the hype on this. Another bottle. Nope, don't like it. Don't get it. Another bottle. It's all right. It's okay. And I'm thinking something's up here. Another bottle, dude. I had a bottle of Blanton'S that I just finished it. I held on to it for so long. I wouldn't want to finish it. I just chugged it on the live on TikTok. And I didn't want to. And I also did an infinity pour on it too, out of the same thing, which is dumb because it was my favorite. It was some of my favorite juice that I had, and it was Blanton'S. So can I understand the hype on it? Yes. And no, because I've had way better whiskey for that. It's not worth. Is it worth the second? It's not worth the secondary market.
I don't think any of them is worth the secondary market.
Well, you got to depend on a collector's aspect.
Now, yeah. Now
I will never tell anybody what to do with their money.
I know.
If I had money, I would buy some of these bottles just for collector's sake. Because here's one thing everybody has to understand. This is the main point of Bourbon Birmingham, and this is what this is just through my journey and the bourbon boom. Like I said, there's been people drinking bourbon forever, like Jim Beam and all these other bourbons. You know, Four Roses has been around for so long. We've seen all these bottles in the store. We purchased these same bottles that are big now that aren't there. Like, you know, like Henry McKenna. We were there when it was $30. You know what I mean? $25. And now it's blowing up to $55, which is fine. That's okay. But reselling it, when I see other stores selling it for $80, I'm like, dude, that's not an $80 bourbon. So it's more or less the Birmingham is somebody telling you love bourbon, but don't get caught up into all these things. Like I do this because I like to collect. I'm into sports, big time into sports, big time into cards. I have a huge card collection. I just sold all that. I just realized, yeah, see, yep. Was that a Derek Booker? Was that Derek Booker?
No, the Cade Cunningham rated rookie.
Oh, Cade Cunningham. Okay. I can see how I got mixed up with Derek Booker then.
Yeah, my bad.
No.
Go ahead.
No, you're okay. So I love the collection aspect of it. So some of these, and I have, it's not collecting to sell. I'm not going to sell any of this stuff.
Right.
I'm not. I just have it for like special occasions. Like I have a bottle that I'm saving for my daughter's graduation, and you know, I have things that I have plans for them. And you know, why not? You know, sometimes you just pop a bottle just for no reason. When you want to pop a bottle.
What are you popping now?
The Smoke Wagon.
Ooh, never had it.
And then, you got to try it. You got to try Smoke Wagon.
I've heard amazing things. So
that's the thing. Don't get caught up in it. If you want to drink it, there's so many good bourbons out there, and there's so many small time distillers. And that's the one thing people need to start paying attention to now because of the bourbon boom are the small time distillers. They're making bourbon. They're making good bourbon. Some of these bourbons that they're making are going to be more sought after. And quote me on this. This is on a podcast.
Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not paying attention, snap out of it.
Pay attention.
Snap out of it.
I'm not lying. 15 years from now, these small time distillers coming out, they're going to put out single barrels. Some of them are already doing it right now. They're going to have these small batches. Smoke Wagon. This is a small time distiller, really. Smoke Wagon is. They still buy their barrels, but they're making their own. These small time distillers, these bottles, some of these bottles that you're going to see are going to be probably just as high and sought after as, say, even like an E.H. Taylor single barrel bottle right now.
I could see that because I think eventually people are going to get tired of the rat race of waiting in line to get shafted on a bottle or store owners buying up the supply of the good stuff and then just reselling it to all their buddies, you know, in the states that you can't remark up your prices. I mean, and that stuff happens. I mean, I know it happens here in this town. I mean, the guy is, every year he gets a case of Blanton'S. Every year you don't see a bottle of Blanton'S for sale, but you hear other people in town got a new bottle of Blanton'S. So you put two and two together. But no, I get it. And what's nice about these micro distilleries, it's like a micro brewery. You go there for an experience, and you go there because they have to make good stuff or they don't stay open.
Yep.
You know, and at the end of the day, like you have guys that have just as much experience as much as the brewmasters do at these big distilleries. Because at the end of the day, there's turnover at those places.
And you're
where these micro distilleries, it's mom and pop shops, and they are the workers at everything. So they oversee every step of the process, and it's very meticulous.
Yeah. And you're getting bourbon made from parts of the country that 10, 15 years ago, you were never tasting bourbon from these different parts of the country because everybody thought bourbon's made in Kentucky. And even Kentucky it's constricted in this small area. So Kentucky bourbon has its own distinct taste, whether people want to admit it or not. It does. It does.
It's like Tennessee whiskey has its own flavor because of the lime content in the water.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I will. That could be a different show. I can take you on a different journey when it comes to water because technology can catch up with water, and so can aging too, as well. What we're talking about, but when you naturally age things, it is 1,000 times better. Just like I want to tell you, every Indiana bourbon, and quote me on this, is going to become huge because the Indiana bourbon is absolutely amazing.
Well, look at how many places are already using Indiana to bottle their stuff. Indiana's already got a massive presence. Sazerac Rye,
Yes.
Mercantile that I just talked about, it's bottled there.
A lot of big bourbon names are in Indiana.
Yeah. Belle Mead. Belle Mead Sour is bottled in Indiana. There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
Yep.
Belle Mead Sour, by the way. Have you ever had that one?
I've never had it. No, I've had Belle Mead. I've had both. They're bourbons.
Yeah, the Belle Mead Sour is pretty delicious.
Never had the sour. Just talking about the sour mash, Bill.
Yeah.
Never had it.
Yep. My buddy, it's his favorite. He got me hooked on it, man. So,
Oh.
He every time I see it, I know if I buy like 3 bottles, like you'll be right there, like come to me. But yeah. So you said something about Four Roses. It's an old school bourbon, and in the last 3 years, it's really kind of went from being because Four Roses when we were kids, that was Grandpa's cheap bourbon.
Yep, and it was like a girly drink.
And it came in like the plastic bottles, like it was, and then
it was gross.
And then all of a sudden they like, do you know the story of like what changed? Like they're just like, you know what, we don't want to be the laughing stock.
Nothing.
They just finally caught on.
They have an amazing. They've never been hurting. They've never
Well, no, it's nationwide. Yeah, they've always had the nationwide distribution as far as I've known.
They've always put out, and they have distinct mash. They use different wheat grain, like different yeast grains in their, and they have their 4 different yeast things. So they have a very distinct flavor, very distinct taste.
So, like everything else, they have a wide variety. And I have 2 bottles here I'm going to show everybody, and you're going to tell me the difference and everybody else, the difference between the 2. Because now we're going to talk a little bit of the difference between single barrel, small batch, single barrel. I mean, just like, regular base, you're going to break down the difference between the 2. So we have here 2 of Four Roses Nicer line, and it's the single barrel. And then you have the small batch select.
Yes.
Retail on this is about $45, $49 for the single barrel, and it's about $65 for the small batch select, depending on where you're at. It might be $59.99, but it's between $60 and $70 with tax.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the store and I'm like, well, I heard single barrel is good, but what makes small batch select different than single barrel? And so break that down for us.
So when it comes to the Four Roses, normally what they do with this small batch select is they have their 4, like I said, they have the 4 yeast, right? The 4 yeast that they use in their bourbon and their all that stuff. The 4 grains, 4 yeast, blah blah blah. Hence Four Roses. They take 2 of those. They take 2 of those things, three of them, and they mix it in with that. They make it so they make a small batch bourbon. That's exactly what you're getting. You're getting a small batch. They make X amount of bottles of that one small batch. That's why it should have I think that should have writing on it, like what's the batch number and all that stuff. That's
On which one?
The small batch.
The small batch. The single barrel does too.
Yeah, the small batch. What does that?
Hang on here.
It probably won't be on the tag. It'll be on the bottle.
No, actually, it's not.
Okay.
There's no.
Well, either way, they only do so many batches of that.
It says non-chill filtered.
Yeah, and they'll have so it's kind of like a maker's mark in a way. They just kind of make it all, and they do a single.
This is 48 4P on the single barrel. So this is the fourth Rick. So it's not a terrible choice.
No, but I mean, sometimes you're stuck when it comes with that. You're stuck on what they send the liquor store.
Yeah, that's why. But if you're at the liquor store and you have multiple single barrels and you want to pick one, find the ones with the handwritten batch numbers and look for that 5 or 6 Rick or even 4, because good chance they got exposed to more elements and they got more juice out of the barrel than the ones with 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
so
you'll definitely
a little buying hack for everybody out there.
And you can judge by what you're giving away. You give away the good hacks. So.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Hopefully no one in my county or yours hears this.
No, they'll be fine.
Luckily, this podcast sucks and no one listens to it, so we're good. We're good.
That is a great buying hack. I'm surprised you know that. That's awesome.
I got that from Bruzel.
Really?
I saw he did a video on that, and I'm like, that's a hell of a thing to remember. So he shared it first, so it's his fault. So anybody that finds out about it and gets mad, they found out about it from me, blame Mr. Bruzel.
Blame him, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah. I use that when I go and look for things. That's how I get some of mine, because I'll go for the old Dusties in the back sometimes, because they'll have a different. they'll have the higher rack number on it.
Yeah, I went with the small batch selector for the last.
So really, Four Roses is gonna. Everybody wants to know why is the single barrel cheaper?
Yeah, I actually asked you that, because you would think the single barrel is like the Taj Mahal. It's never left that barrel. It went into the barrel, it comes out of the barrel. That's it. Like, it's touched nothing.
Well, it gets proof down. It will get proof down. It will do all that stuff. Like, they'll proof it down.
Okay.
So when you see like single barrel, it's a single barrel, but it's a single barrel that's proof down. It may not be cold chill filter or whatever, but it's still dumped in, proof down, and mixed up. So it's getting proof down with batch. So unless you do like a full proof or just straight from the barrel, uncut, unfiltered, straight from the barrel. That's what it should be. That's what it'll be called. If it's straight from the barrel, it's going to be called uncut, unfiltered.
And is that the good stuff?
It'll be uncut. Yeah, that's straight from the barrel. That's the most you can get. So think about.
So you actually might get some chunks of stuff.
No, you won't. They won't. You know what? You can look at some of these bourbons if they've been sitting long enough. If your best thing you do is put them in like an affinity bottle or something, or a clear thing, and look at the very bottom of it. You'll see little things of wood in them.
That's awesome.
I promise. Yeah, you'll see.
So here's another question for you. Down on the Four Roses, it says the small batch select is non-chill filtered. What is chill filtering?
So it's just. So chill filter is going to be like it's cold. It's cold through when you cold chill filter. Cold, it's going through cold like they do with Tennessee whiskey. You're going to go through there. Some people will say like, oh, you don't want your bourbon filter through that. You don't want your whiskey filtered through coal or any of that stuff. It doesn't. What do you think you're drinking? Like, the whole charcoal is already inside the barrel. It doesn't make any sense.
But it's not coal, damn it. Coal kills. Haven't you heard the campaign? Wait, look at West Virginia's economy. Coal's terrible.
So you want it to be. It doesn't matter if it's filtered. A lot of the times you'll see like even they'll take a metal like mesh thing. A lot of these other small town distillers, they'll just take a metal mesh thing and they'll just dump the barrel over it, and they'll just have it come out the bunghole over this thing, and that's all they do to filter it. If you want to go unfiltered, like I said, they'll just dump the barrel unfiltered, and it's going straight into that bottling line. Like, there's going to be a filter up top, of the bigger grates to catch the bigger stuff that doesn't go into your bourbon,
right,
or whatnot, because it's got to go through the machines and everything, and depending on how you pump it. But you will have wood inside in your bourbon, and if you're getting through coal, like all that's essentially doing is taking out all those wood grain, like all those natural wood grains that you want. Some people will say they add flavor, that because when it goes in your bottle, it's still going to continue to age somehow with those little wood chips that are still in there, the tiny little things, you know what I mean, that would get filtered out through the coal.
Yeah, that's just extra flavor.
Yeah. So
actually, if you take all those wood chips and sprinkle them and talk a little chicken Alfredo, it'll really bring it out.
Really?
I don't know.
But you were giving me a cooking hack.
No. But I think that was like the fact that you drank that cock there. You had that cock. I think, and then you got a little vulnerable there. You fell for it. But
I did. I think, well, yeah, man, that was just what happens.
God bless you. God bless you. So yeah. So what's your favorite bourbon? Your go-to? If you had to go to the store, fully stocked shelf, any damn thing you ever wanted, what are we doing?
Wait, are we on a budget, or is it just?
No budget. No, it's a free. Like, hey, Ken,
that's not
you get
favorite.
I like you. You did me a solid. Go pick anything you want. I'm buying. And he's a cajillionaire, so you don't have to worry about breaking the budget.
Oh man, you go to the store,
anything,
give me that money,
anything. He's like, whatever you want,
and they have it on the shelf. They will have it on the shelf.
Yep.
I would do this. I would do Smoke Wagon. I would do Smoke Wagon Elevator series.
Out of everything, Smoke Wagon.
Yes, I've been dying. That's the one thing I would want to try.
What's the retail? What's retail of that?
Elevator? Oh, you can't even, dude. I don't even know if you could find. I literally don't even know. I don't even know this. It's just one of those bottles that's my bottle that I would love to have. I don't know. So essentially it's just, they put the barrels in the elevator and it just went up and down. I just want to try it.
Smoke Wagon. Is that like a blue stamp on it?
Yeah. They have a few.
Bourbon Central's got them for $1,150. That's not too bad. I was expecting that to be like $5,000 to $10,000. I thought you were going to hit me with something. No, that's not $1,100. Oh hell, when Dude Network makes its first million, I'll get us a bottle.
That'd be awesome, man.
She's gonna come. Hey, if I get that, and I'm like, yo, I got this. I gotta just come up here, like just come up and drink it. You'd be like, all right, yeah, Alabama high. I can be up there in about 12 hours. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be there. Hell yeah.
The gas would be cheaper than anything you'd ever have to pay out of pocket for a half a bottle for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Just scoot on over there.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Smoke Wagon, man.
I think on my bucket list is the Eagle Rare 17. That's the one I haven't had that I really want. If the Eagle Rare 10's that good, I would only imagine the 17 is that much better.
Yes, yeah. I've like I said, I've only had the 10. I've never had the 17. It's not something I don't know. I'm just more sought after that Smoke Wagon. I just have a thing for Smoke Wagon. I don't know why.
I haven't got to try any of the Smoke Wagon yet.
Oh, man.
That or the Rabbit Hole. I've heard Rabbit Hole's good too.
No.
It's not?
Birmingham. You don't follow my TikTok feud with Rabbit Hole. I troll Rabbit Hole. Rabbit Hole,
dude, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, full disclosure, like TikTok was like what got me on here, and I'm thankful for all the friends like you it gave me.
Oh,
but like I am on there so little anymore, and it's like all about the gram, bro. It's all about the Insta.
Yeah, Insta is where you blow up. Seriously, that's how you. That's where.
Like TikTok, the followers are stupid. Let's talk social media for a second here. Can I go on a rant? TikTok is the dumbest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. My wife's got like 40,000 followers, and there's videos she's posting where not even 200 people see it. Like, get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have like 5,600, like, and I can't get anything to go more than 300 views. Like, I'm like, why do I even have followers? Like, why do I even have followers?
Yes.
Like, how's your channel doing?
I actually do pretty good. So every single video I post gets about at minimum 300. I'm usually at 500-600 views every video.
Yeah.
And I only have 2,600 followers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like that's my whole point. Like, I'm happy for you, dude. Like, that's a great ratio. Like, that would make sense. Like,
no, I have a really good ratio. That's a really good ratio, and I keep track
that's
of my
the
numbers.
Bourbon community. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's actually, let's talk about that. Like, real quick here before, I know we're going well past our half hour, but I knew this would happen with you, and I'm totally okay with it.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not sorry at all. Don't be sorry. I'm actually sorry that you feel sorry. So I apologize. But the bourbon community, man, is there I know so this was best of my world. I'm in the barbecue community, the micro beer community, kinda. But like the bourbon and the barbecue communities are two of the craziest, tightest communities on here, man.
You know what? And I'm linked in pretty good with the barbecue community too. I got some pretty good friends.
Yeah.
From
they go hand in hand. Like barbecue and bourbon is like where it's at, man.
Yeah. So, no, it's something that I was never expected. It's amazing. Bourbon TikTok is just something that's insane. I mean, it's insane. I mean, you could probably go on. I don't know much about the other communities on there. I know about the barbecue, the beer, like all that stuff.
I can speak on barbecue and bourbon, and they're about same and same, and they cross over a lot.
They do cross over a lot. Everything else, like I don't know, man. It's really tight, and you could just I don't know. But bourbon on Instagram is completely different. Where bourbon on Instagram is
it don't move the needle.
Give me more followers. Yeah, give me more followers and I'll give you a giveaway. So it's like I only have 900. I've been fighting so hard. only have 900 some odd followers on Instagram. And don't get me wrong, I could have more if I paid more attention to it for the past couple of months. I could have more. The thing is that people got to the numbers they're at, and I watched it happen by just giving away bottles. And they do it in the bourbon TikTok community as well, but it's gotten a lot less now on bourbon TikTok. It was until pretty much I called it out and did a lot. I didn't want to say call it out. I kind of just said, you know what, let's focus more on content here, guys. Let's not just,
it's buying followers. At the end of the day, those are ungenuine followers. At the end of the day, you have all these followers, but after the giveaway, they don't care about your page.
Yeah.
Like, let's promote something. Like, let's make a brand here, folks.
Yeah. I put out stuff to put out content. I don't care if you like it or not. If I like it and I think it's funny, or if I think it's something good, I'm putting it out. I'm not, you know what I mean? I love doing what I do. I love it. It's not like
isn't this like the craziest thing? Like, dude, let's face it. When you and I got into this, it was like, let's share our experiences in our lives with people. Let's make some friends. We're going to have a good time. Like, I know, like, for me, like, I never thought in a million years I would have to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, when I did this, I was like, man, I need to do this because it's at the point where people are requesting, where's your podcast? And I'm just like I'm like sitting there thinking, I'm like, golly, about 20,000 combined followers across all the platforms in a year. And it's just, what a blessing, man. Like, and I met like people like you along the way. Yeah. Like, I mean, what a life we're living on there.
Really?
And like, if something ever happened, my only thing was, I always said, like, I'm going to go for it. Like, once I started seeing it, I'm like, I'm going to go for it, but I'm going to have fun. Like, when it's not fun, I'm done.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. And like, whatever happens. Well, I guess it's kind of happening. So I guess we're going to see what happens.
Dude, your drive is amazing. Because I
you too, man. We're
like
dads, we're job workers, and we still got time to run multiple platforms. So I know, too, man.
The way you network is awesome, dude. The way you network and put yourself out there is something that I can't do. I go on characters. I know bourbon. That's all I know. You know what I mean? Like, you network yourself out there. You talk about sports. I could talk about sports, but I have different characters for that too. So I'm branching off from different things. What's your sports character? I love Sports Guy. He's on TikTok. I have so many good ideas with him, man.
What's his accent? Hey, what's he talk? What's he sound like?
He's just the dumbest idiot so I'm starting to do videos where I'm taking other people's interviews and I'm just inserting myself in them. And what I love sports guy is he says he knows everything and anything about sports. And he also interviews the highest and most renowned athletes across America and the rest of the world because he's an amazing interviewer. And it's just copying. I just take clips and I just put myself in there and I'm just mouthing the other people's thingy. And I want people to ask me questions so I can come up with the dumbest answers that make zero sense about anything about sports.
I love it.
Oh, so that's how I do things.
What region of the country is he going to be from?
Oh, he's
in Poindexter?
He's just me, just an idiot. This is I love sports guy, but he's so confident and he's just talking about the most redundant, dumbest things that makes zero sense.
Well, the spitball you see is actually not that great unless you're using actual beech nut chaw because of tobacco tar content has a little bit of a less slick surface. So if you want a true spitball, beech nut.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like stuff like that, or like so when that ball hits the line, that's definitely a birdie. So when you go and do the time in the penalty box, you probably want to stay away from that par.
Yeah, and watch out for those crack jacks and peanut butter.
Yes. So stupid stuff like that, man.
And on the way, if you step on the crack, you're going to break your mama's back.
I just have so many things rolling around my head.
Dude, let's keep them coming on here, man. Let's do it.
Hell
let's
yeah,
do
man.
it. Hey, you're killing it, Ken. Hey, man. Most importantly, you bring a smile on people's face. I know sure as hell when I see your videos, when I am on TikTok, I've always enjoyed doing it, man. You've always put above and beyond to make people happy. You've been a great friend of mine. You've been a great dude to get to come on here with. I'm glad to finally have you on the YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple. It's been about 5 months in the making. I know every time we tried to go, it didn't work out.
So happy for you, man.
Hey, man, I'm happy for you to be on here with me, and you're coming along with me. And the hell with that. I'm coming along with you, man. I'm riding your coattails because you're Ken Bourbon Birmingham.
Ken Birmingham.
Ken Bourbon Birmingham.
Ride on the train now. Come on, get on. You've been on board this whole time. Toot your own horn. I don't care.
We're clanging bottles. Not too loud because those are very expensive. But, yeah, you know what I mean, folks? Well, hey, dudes and dudettes, thank you so much for coming on here on this one. Ken Bourbon Birmingham. Woo! Thanks for sharing that big fat brain of yours with us here tonight on some delicious brown liquor.
Yes.
Out of the coral. Hit you with the big elbow. But ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, Ken Bourbon Birmingham, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.